even though things might seem impossible at the time. The main components of this story that I'm going to tell you with regards to my own history is I've moved city a lot. So they were for various reasons, like an ill father, or I followed my partner a couple of different times, or I followed the fun, or I followed the work. But I've moved up and down the east coast of Australia and started from scratch. And a lot of this, well, most of the time while I was doing that, I was either doing personal training or massage or health and wellness, corporate health, something like that, but something to do with health and wellness stuff. So I'm going to start from the beginning of that career. I'm not going to go too in depth, but it is probably going to be long, so feel free to skip through this. I keep saying that because it is incredibly uncomfortable talking about yourself, I do find. However, I think that it's a necessary thing, not just from the perspective of you being motivated that you can do it yourself, but I think if anybody's going to work with anybody, they really should know how that person is qualified to help them. And I want people to know that the methods and the advice that I give people with regards to growing their business, growing their personal training, growing their studio, growing their health and wellness business, growing their corporate thing, growing anything to do technically with coaching, is usually, like 99% of the time, it's because I've done it myself, and that's why I'm saying this method works. Now, it's not always my method and you've got to do it this way, it's my way or the highway, because I think each person has their own natural ability, and that we should really follow that natural ability in terms of the way you deliver content to your clients, and then in terms of the way that you also market your services. That might mean that videos aren't your thing, maybe writing is, and that's fine. But that also means that's why I make videos and don't do a hell of a lot of writing, because I find speaking easier. So it's really important to work with your talent and your skill set in terms of not just creating content and delivering things to your client, but also in terms of how to actually get things out to the greater audience, i.e. the world, which is meaning marketing. And then sales comes with however you sell things. Maybe you have a page and people can sign up for stuff, or maybe, just look at my boring background, I was making a whiteboard of things to make another video about, but that's not happening now. We will leave it there. Okay, so I am actually going to read, because let me show you this sheet. I wonder if I can share my screen. And I'm doing this. Yeah, so there's a lot of, it's only got three pages, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 city moves, towns, I guess you could call them. Nunawading, Bondi Junction, Randwick, Sydney, Coolum, Queensland, Tasmania, I lived in Hobart for a while, Randwick, Bond Street, Fitness First, Sydney CBD. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to stop sharing that. I'm actually going to use it as a prompt so that I can stay on the storyline. If you're just tuning in, what I'm doing this for today is to let you know a little bit about my history, I suppose, why I'm always talking about starting things from scratch and how to escalate your credibility, I guess, through the community where you are. And then how later on in life, what I want you to know, later on in your career, what that can do quite easily is, because of the relationships you've developed, it actually enables you to be able to sell whatever you've got on offer. Let's say you've got an online product on offer and you moved towns 10 years ago or 15, 20 years ago, but now you've got an online offer on offer. The people that you know from back in your hometown or wherever you used to be will often purchase that thing, or clients from an old location where you used to work will often purchase something because they can't see you face to face anymore. Now, obviously I didn't move these 12 times that I've got written down here that I'm going to share with you. I didn't move and relaunch 12 times on purpose, and some of them were really uncomfortable moves. Like I really didn't know what to do. But now looking back at it, it's been amazing, and it's been something that's really actually helped me to, I guess, weather the storm of the last couple of years of a lot of change that all of us have experienced, especially if you live in Victoria, in Australia, because of the mandates, etc. Now, not that that's meant that I've lost my job, but I'm trying to help a lot of people that have lost theirs. Now, okay, moving on. All right, so in relation to health and fitness and me becoming a personal trainer, when I left school, I did information technology, started working in an office. Didn't love it, liked the people. Also started doing a lot of rehab for my own back because I'd hurt myself as a teenager, and just it was incredibly hard to get better. So anyway, meantime, I also that'll fit in later with some qualifications that I ended up getting. That's why I ended up getting so interested in rehab, because I had so much of it myself. I started going to the gym before I went to work, and I applied for a job, even though there were no jobs at the gym, and this gym was Fernwood in Sydney. Now, there were no jobs, but I looked up who the manager was. Her name happened to be Kate, and I wrote her a letter addressed to her telling her why I would be a fabulous asset to the company and, why I wanted to work there, basically. Kate called me and ended up giving me a job. She said, we don't have a job here, but I love that you had the initiative to do that, so I'm going to put you on part-time. My boss in IT said, that's fine, you can leave work an hour early. So I used to go to the gym in the morning, cut my travel 90 minutes first on the train, then I'd go to the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning, go to work at 9, finish at 4, start at 4:30 at the gym, and then leave there at 8 or 9. I think I moved to Sydney at around that time anyway. I grew up an hour north of Sydney. Again, not that matters, because that's, you move for work, you move for study, that kind of stuff. So I'm not counting that move. I'm telling people in this story, I originate from Sydney, but I originate from an hour north of Sydney on the Central Coast originally. Now, while I was in that gym, I bought a massage. Well, I've been personal training for a couple of years, got qualified in various things as well, because I'm incessantly annoying people and asking them questions about, but I don't understand, why does that muscle do that, and what do you mean the ball makes you use this and that and the other, and started doing courses. So I started doing courses, found the CHEK stuff, so became a CHEK qualified trainer as well. Ended up buying a massage clinic. When I say buying it, one of my personal training clients at the time, I remember telling her that I just bought the massage clinic, and she went, she got very upset. I was going to say she went off at me, which is an Australian expression, but she got very upset that I had purchased a business without doing a proper business plan. I didn't know what she was talking about. And not doing a business, I didn't do a business plan. I just knew that the girl that was selling it was apparently sick. I say apparently because turned out, we think that maybe she wasn't afterwards. But anyway, she was ill. So she moved away. I purchased it, which meant I purchased the equipment and the goodwill, and she did have 2 staff in there. So it didn't matter that I didn't know how to do massage. But then I found a good course, and I did a course as well. And the course took me a year to do while I was personal training at the same time. And the course was full-time. So, and it was amazing though, I have to say. And then I started massaging as well as the girls that were in there. And then we opened another location closer to where I physically lived, which was actually at Randwick. Then I can't remember what happened directly at Fernwood, but I ended up moving my clients across the road to Bond Street Fitness First. And that was interesting, but it didn't matter. I brought a lot of clients over there to Bond Street Fitness First. Then I worked out of Bond Street Fitness First and Randwick Fitness First. If you're watching this internationally, Fitness First is a biggest gym at the time. This was in about the year 2000 that I moved to Randwick and Bond Street Fitness First, about the year 2000. So I started personal training in 1998 was when I went to Fernwood. And then a couple of years later, moved to Randwick or Bond Street Fitness First. At the time, Randwick was the biggest gym, I think, in Australia with 14,000 members. So I was at Randwick part-time, at Bond Street part-time. So I was servicing my clients that I used to have at Fernwood, at the Bond Street one, and massaging at Randwick, and also doing personal training at Randwick. And yes, going between multiple locations did get very tiring, but I was also in my early 20s and it didn't matter. I had a lot of energy. The other thing that I did to build when I went to Randwick, because that was starting from scratch, but I wanted to do it because it was close to home, was from memory, I think we set up massage there first. So I rented a room in a beautician's studio and I went down the strip of shops at Randwick and invited everybody that worked in the shop in for a complimentary, and the boss as well. So it was either the person that was at reception, and also there's a lot of commercial. It was a commercial strip. It still is, actually. It's very busy. That's on Belmont Road. Anyway, Belmore Road, Randwick. So I invited every shop owner in for a half an hour massage. So that was busy. Within a week, that business was full. So people come, they don't come. Half the people rebook, half don't. Doesn't really matter. But I don't understand why people find it hard to build things, but I understand it is hard to go in to businesses. But do you know what? Even today, for me, doing this as a live stream on YouTube, that was hard because I haven't done it before and I'm a little out of practice with making videos. Anyway, beside the point, it's important for us to do hard stuff so then we know that you're fine with it. And at the end of the day, you can actually handle everything and anything, because if you couldn't, you would actually be dead. If you couldn't handle it, you'd be dead. So the proof's there. I love that expression. I can't remember where it's from or which famous person said it. So now go back to the story. So I was at Randwick, Bond Street. I donated a lot of that's how I got into Randwick Fitness first. So I was donating. I saw that there was a 12-week body transformation going on. Do you remember 12-week body transformation, the first original ones? So there was a trainer called Rob running the 12-week transformation challenges at Randwick Fitness First. So I said, hey, can I donate some prizes to you? So I had a meeting with him about that, and then ended up working there as a personal trainer as a result of that meeting, I think. And then he and his partner, Amy, ended up being regular massage clients. Amy did anyway, from memory. Beside the point. So then I was in Randwick Fitness First and I was in Bond Street. Now, eventually I wasn't at Bond Street. I don't remember how that worked. Besides that, now a couple of years into their networking, and I was at that time, I was a Czech trainer, so a Czech personal trainer. And so they very much assess posture and look at muscle relationships around the body. I'm just going to pretend that you don't know what it is. If you're a personal trainer, maybe you do know who Paul Chek is, maybe you don't. Doesn't really matter. He's getting a bit old probably now, and he's not the hot new thing. He was the hot new thing for about 20 years. Now he's getting very spiritual. But it's still wonderful material, and it was really helpful for me. That's why I used it. So I saw one of the trainers who first was qualified with this stuff in Sydney, called Gary Crozier, who's now responsible for building, I think, like most of the Czech website and stuff. So anyway, I saw Gary was my first personal trainer. I used to catch the bus over an hour to see him from Sydney over to the North Shore. And I'd get my program and I'd come back and I'd do my program. Anyway, it was the first kind of training in years. It was the first anything, actually, to be honest, that actually helped my body repair. And I won't go into that. It was just a whole series of birth defects. It's amazing, because then me learning that's actually helped me help clients as well. Did it get them? Yeah, it got them amazing results. It was totally opposite to bodybuilding. It's like very functional. So it's kind of where functional and the fit ball and all that kind of stuff came from. I was looking for the ball, but I don't have it here. I'm sitting on a chair today. That's where that kind of stuff came from. So I loved, that. Anyway, why did I get onto that as a topic? Okay, so, that's right. Because when I was at Randwick, that's when I actually started training other personal trainers. Only because many of them there who I had a great relationship with would send me the people. If they had any broken clients, they'd send me the clients. I'd do a couple of sessions with the clients, send them back to them, and they'd be good as new. And so they're like, what is this thing that you're doing with the stick and the posture and all that kind of stuff? So I was doing really slow stuff at the time. It's interesting how it all goes through phases, or I seem to go through phases to keep myself interested with learning. Now, we're doing the things with the posture. And so I was doing a seminar once, and I was teaching the personal trainers. And I remember this was in 2004. I was teaching the trainers, in the aerobics room. And it was either a 4-week or a 6-week. If you can hear that creaking, that's actually my chair. A 4-week or a 6-week or an 8-week course, I can't remember. And they would come every week. It was $20 a week. That's right. I think it must have been 4 weeks, because it was $20 a week. And I remember it was $80. So they would come every week, and I would run through what I was teaching them, which was basically how to replicate whatever it is that I was doing. And then I found that was my thing. I love teaching. Turns out, what do you know? Love teaching the technicalities of all that stuff. The other thing that accidentally happened was a client of mine at the time saw me teaching one of these lessons. Now, I was embarrassed. I was actually making sure I couldn't be seen by the public view through the aerobics room. So I was kind of standing behind one of the poles while I was teaching on purpose. And this client said to me afterwards, she said, I saw you teaching that thing the other day, in our personal training session. I said, what thing? And she said, the group you were teaching the people, and would you be able to come teach a group of people like that at my work? I said, hang on a second. No, not sure how that would work. That was a group of personal trainers. No, there's no way that would happen. That was a group of personal trainers. I can't teach your work, what I was teaching them. Anyway, embarrassment and things aside, that was my first corporate health gig. So I went in and I did a free talk. That free talk led to a 6-week course. That 6-week course led to 6 months. And from memory, at least 12 months in that workplace of me going in every week, because they just wanted the accountability and me to come back. It was a half talking and changing habits, and then a little bit of movement and exercise. So I'm not talking about outside with boot campy kind of stuff, because it's the knowledge that actually changes people's lives. You know that if you're a personal trainer. And it's the habit changing, and it's the consistency and the accountability and the repetition and changing the habits themselves in between. It's not so much turning up to boxing class. So it wasn't the same kind of turning up to boxing class, turning up to exercise class that personal trainers seem to be doing in corporate. For me, I really wanted to teach. Anyway, so that went from office to office, and then that spread. And then before you knew it, I was doing talks in multiple other gyms that belong to other people as well. And then people would see me doing talks in the gym and then ask me to come and do talks at their workplace and give quotes for, that kind of stuff. So for everything from a 1-hour event to an 8-hour days. And so that was born. And I still like doing that. I actually still love public speaking now, as long as it's on a subject that I like talking about. Funny, I hated public speaking at school, probably because we had to give book reviews or whatever it was we were supposed to talk about. I knew nothing about. Oh God, it was the most nerve-wracking experience, right? But again, of course you can handle it because you don't die. Right. So where am I up to? So that was Randwick. That was Randwick in Bond Street as a big box gym. That was networking. That was walking door to door, inviting people into seminars, inviting people in to have free massages, growing the business accidentally that way. Not accidentally, it was on purpose, and it's quick. Much more effective than brochures, much more, a gazillion times more effective than ever leaving a business card at a health food shop. Don't do that. You don't have a relationship with the person that's on that front desk. So unless you have a relationship with the person that's on that front desk, they won't be giving out your card, and nobody that's standing there is going to take that card. So develop a relationship with the person on the front desk. More importantly, maybe just train them, as in whoever you're interacting with. Could be the cashier, could be front desk, doesn't matter. So offer them a couple of free sessions. Then this is approximately 2005. I'm really not bad. I should have written the years down, but I didn't. Each place is a couple of years. I moved with my new partner at the time, who was a chef who got a job in Hobart rebuilding restaurants. I moved to Tasmania. Then, now not knowing how to hook up the internet, or even that there was an internet thing, I opened up the Yellow Pages. Pete, partner's at the time, he went to work as chef, as helping build restaurants rather. And I thought, what am I going to do? Okay, I've got to meet the other trainers in the area and see what it's like to work here and see what people do. So there's the crack of, that's my chair, my chair crack. So I remember looking up P for personal trainers, and I went and had a lot of coffees. A lot of people thought it was bizarre that I was calling, and it's quite funny. I got a little script going for myself after a while, but I actually made quite a few friends out of it. I made a very good dear friends who I'm still friends with today. And I ended up getting work out of that as well. From making friends with her, I ended up working at, if you're in Victoria, you'll know this name. I ended up working at a gym called Kazali's. If you've heard that song up there, Kazali's, sit there and fight. I won't sing it for you, but he's apparently a famous footballer. Now, I say apparently, sorry, I'm from Sydney, New South Wales. I'm not into AFL. I'm not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. But the entire state where I live in Victoria is, apart from my partner, I'm dating the only person who isn't into football. So we both miss out on that together. Sorry, not really miss out. Anyway, little side note. Okay, so I ended up working at Kazali's, helping with sales. I also ended up massaging in a clinic and renting a room there. And then one of the best experience actually out of Hobart was I ended up working with a guy called Ray Quarrell, who worked out of one room in a gym. Ray Quarrell, I don't know if he's even still with us actually. You with us, Ray? He is a famous sprinting and athletics coach for what's called the Storwell Gift, which is a yearly sprinting meet or competition in Storwell, I think in rural Victoria, maybe mid New South Wales or something, but it's something that's run every year. And he was a coach, a sprinting coach. So he used to massage a lot of athletes, and he would be full. He would do 50 hours of massage a week. He had his son working for him as well. And I used to fill in for him as well. So sometimes I was doing up to 40 massages a week. That was hard work on the hands, but that was incredibly flattering as well. Different kind of massage too. Like people are sitting up, guys who've got sore knees, you've got to really make sure you hurt them. It's not like a relaxing massage. Anyway, interesting times. So that was a whole year-ish actually of actually not really doing any personal training in Hobart. Quite bizarre. We were there for 12 months. My father was very ill. He'd become very ill a couple of years prior to that, and my mum and my dad had split up anyway. But I wanted to go to Queensland to be near my dad. My dad had moved up there. He was in the care of some other family members. So Pete came as well. Pete's contract finished, as in the chef that was opening the restaurants, and we ended up moving to Coolum, which is on the Sunshine Coast. Now my networking didn't work up there, really didn't. As in, I tried to launch a couple of different things. I tried getting a traditional job, and I got a traditional job. Of course, I got a job. I was also so qualified at doing things, but I remember I was working at the Hyatt at Coolum. It's about 2006. So I was still in my mid-20s. I was in my mid-20s. I was 2006 or 2000 and something. Anyway, was working at the Hyatt at Coolum for 13 Australian dollars per hour. $13 an hour. And that was low then. My first job was at McDonald's when I was 14, and I was getting paid $5 or $6 an hour, and that incrementally went up. So it was weird that to move to another state. In Queensland, apparently the award wages there, so what the government says that you are entitled to, is less than the national average, and less than the other hourly rates for the national. Now that might not be right now, but that was 20 years ago. Not quite 20 years ago. Anyway, so that was kind of crisis points, because then I couldn't afford to put petrol in the car to drive an hour from where we were living up into the mountains to see my dad on a regular basis, which is the whole point of me moving there. So I did some calculations, and I thought, there's a job going in Sydney for someone I know, and I could move back there. I could do sales in fitness for her, and I could earn more money. That was like 10 times more money than what I'm earning here, and I could afford to fly up. So that's what I did. So pretty soon, I can't remember how long we were in Coolum, let's say another year, and it's got 2004. No, I think that's 2005. So say 2000, and this is about 2005 now. About 2005, moved back to Sydney. went back into Randwick Fitness First. I think I was also running boot camps outside between Coogee and Maroubra, outdoor training, which is 100 times better in New South Wales than would be in Victoria because it's so bloody cold here. And then also started corporate health again. Oh, and also, sorry, I should say I moved back, and I do want to name drop here. I came back and was working for Jacinta McDonald, who is the lady who's responsible for bringing Anytime Fitness franchises into Australia. She had bought a gym and was redoing it, rebranding it, upgrading it, and I came in and did sales for them. That's why I moved back from Queensland, actually, because I had that job. Sorry. So she was responsible for bringing Anytime Fitness franchises into Australia with her brother. And this was, almost 20 years ago. Now she's responsible for bringing them in. She's a bloody hard worker, that woman. Amazing. So Sydney CBD. Yep. So then I was back in Sydney CBD, launched personal training again, back to Randwick, outdoor boot camps, Coogee, Maroubra, teaching. Yep, I'm looking at my notes, teaching other groups of my own courses, corporate health speaking programs that were then running between 6 and 12 months long inside offices. And yeah, I've written here, not exercise, as in then it was mainly talking. If there was any exercise, it was, 10 minutes worth of breathing or stretching or something that was kind of stress relieving for them, but it wasn't coming in and running a boot camp style session. It wasn't coming in and doing boxing, which I know a lot of people were doing at the time. I also know a lot of people were having trouble getting into corporate health, and I understand why, because my partner and I, not long after that, my new partner and I, not long after I'd had a baby, actually. Hang on, I shall save that story for when we moved to Melbourne, because that's when that one launched. So many things. Okay. I was massaging again, was doing promotions via foot, giving lots of things away, meeting lots of people that way, establishing relationships actually accidentally that way. And I also set up my second network marketing gigs, and that was going quite well, actually, until the company changed where its ingredients were being sourced from. And at that time, I'd gone to 90% organic and was like a real weirdo hippie organic. And actually one of my best mates at the time was, I don't know if anyone knows Free Lee. Hi, Free Lee on YouTube. Not that we haven't spoken for a really long time, but we were mates in one of those gyms in Randwick back in the days. But it just reminded me of you then, Lee, when I said I went to 90% organic. And the company actually, to do with the network marketing thing, the company, great training, amazing people. However, the products became misaligned. So I stopped selling them, stopped being interested in them, actually. 2006, pregnant. Or is it 2007? 2006. 2006, end of 2006, fell pregnant with Stella. Also in 2006, slightly before, I moved to a clinic in Bondi Junction with clients from Randwick without picking up new clients, didn't need to, because we moved to Bondi Junction. So I say things a little bit out of order. Anyway, so that's, just so you know, that's a town, it's a 5 or 10 minute drive away, but from a personal training client's perspective, that's a pretty long way to expect your clients to drive. To come to see a normal person, yes, if they've got a one-on-one relationship with you. If they're just turning up to a gym or they're turning up even to a class, you've got less and less possibility of that happening. They're quite possibly not going to do that. So if you are moving, don't move more than 500 meters away and expect the clients to come. Ideally, don't move more than 5 minutes away if you can. I was lucky, at least 10 of my clients came, because the stipulation of the clinic where I was working, because they were all very high level CHEK practitioners and one was a doctor, and one of them, their rules were you can't charge less than $100 here, Kate. So my fees were over $100, and still I was lucky enough that 10 of my clients came, and I still had corporate health on the side. 2007 had Stella. Stella's father at the time, this was funny, left his job to become a personal trainer, kind of, I think, as I was pregnant, because he was like so astonished that he would call me during the day and I would be having lunch and then about to go down to the beach. He's like, why does this woman get like 3 or 4 hours off during the day? Stop this, I'm leaving my career. He was like OH&S, in safety, and often like quite close to one under the sea area he is now anyway. But anyway, then there's lots of stories on my channel and on my social media about how to not set up corporate health, because he and I tried to set up corporate health, but we did it the proper way. We get branding, we got brochures, we imported goods from China, like Bitballs and USBs to put our information on. We built a website from scratch that was expensive. What else did we do? I cold called people. So it was about 6 months. I cold called people for months. That was a lot of fun. That was really, really, really interesting. Whereas I'd already had all these gigs before, which was also interesting. Anyway, we were doing that as we moved down to Melbourne, because I had such a hard time with Stella. Little did I know that, Stella was 6 months when we moved, I think, from memory. Little did I know that in, another 2, 6 months, however long, that she would actually start sleeping. However, what I'd said to Damien at the time was, oh my God, I don't know how to do this. Can we please move to Melbourne? We're in Bondi Junction. Can we please move to Melbourne to be near your family or something? Because my family's spread out and all over the place. My mum at the time was in Queensland, buying houses and doing them up and changing them over. I think she was in Toowoomba, so I wasn't moving there. Then she moved to the Gold Coast. Anyway, and then I had half sisters in Sydney, but out West Sydney, and I'm in the eastern suburbs of Sydney. So I said to Damien, can we please move to your family who wants to be nearer their one grandchild, and maybe they can help because I don't know what I'm doing. And so we did. So she was 6 months. We packed up. We moved down there. He got a job. Although I moved first with his parents. I was only there for, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, and I found a house because I wasn't going to do that because it was hard. Found a house. I think Stella was 8 months. I went back to work part-time, personal training, because I had to have conversations with humans. Yeah. Love the child stuff, but I'm definitely I lost myself and wanted to recreate myself again, put it that way. But you all know what that's like, right? Since 2020, we all know what it's like to lose ourselves, and that you get to create yourself again. So 2008, we moved like right out, like quite far out Melbourne east. Ended up working at a big box gym that was kind of new, that hadn't opened yet. And it opened with, I can't remember, it opened with 15, maybe 20, I don't know how many personal trainers, doesn't matter, but I was older by 100 years. And I have to tell you, like, guys, every time I've moved and I've started again and I'm walking into the gym in someone, and it's incredibly intimidating in a big box gym. Now, aside from all the big box gyms that I've mentioned, there's also been littler gyms in terms of, someone else's personal training studio that I might have been friends with, that I might have helped them with the studio. Not once have I had my name on a lease, though. Talk about commitment issues, huge commitment issues I have, or did have, not anymore. There's lots of those places, like where, for example, the client wouldn't be a member of Fitness First or something else, so I'd have to train them at someone else's gym. Wouldn't have to, but I just would, because it would be up the road, because in these cities, there's gyms are so close together, there's so many of them. So there's so many different options. And then we moved to suburbia. So I wasn't sure if it was Melbourne life or if it was child life, or if it was suburbia, but I didn't know what was going on. Really, really lost myself, actually. It took a while to get her back, but she came back. Now, in the time of working in that big box gym, I had 5 contractors working for me. Some worked out really, really well, some not so well. I ended up going and teaching, because I did a lot of seminars there as well, just to for it to teach people because I like it, and then that accidentally generates business as well. There is a structure to do that too, by the way, and I'll have to do that in another video. I promise I will do that. Just like this has been aching to get out of me, this long story, that whole, you know, how to launch a business from a set of free seminars or from free seminars, that's aching to come out of me as well. So I will do it. I'm writing it down for myself as a note. Seminars video series. I have actually got a seminars video series, but it's so crap. I'm hoping that I took it off YouTube. So I did it years ago. Now, because I did so many seminars in that particular big box gym, that one was called Phoenix at the time, I think, and they got bought by something else. But the owners of that, Jerome and Ryan, they started Victorian Fitness Academy, so I used to go teach there as well. Then I liked teaching, didn't like the paperwork, but liked teaching. So then I moved closer to, now I was there for years actually. Then I moved closer to home, as in we were living in Mitcham, I think, in the east. Yep, Mitcham. No, we're living Donvale, Mitcham, same thing. So then I moved to a gym in Nunawading, which also formerly had been a Fitness First, but was then owned by a new group called South Pacific. No, not yet. It was still Fitness First. I can't remember. Anyway, I think it was Fitness First. Yes, it was still Fitness First. That's right, because they were about to be sold. And so everyone was like, oh my God, they're going to be sold. We're going to lose all their clients, because they hadn't been bought by another corporation yet. But if there's something that I can tell you about moving as a personal trainer anyway, about moving or moving into a place or taking over a place or taking over someone's business, because even though I've been predominantly in big box gyms, I've taken over people's businesses and they've taken over mine, as in sold clients and bought them, because there's recurring revenue there, right? But if that client knows that something is happening and their routine is going to be disrupted in terms of where they train, who they train with, or that the scenario is potentially going to be different in the future, what are you going to do? What are they going to do? Because I know what I would do. I'd take things into my own hands, and I would potentially leave and go source another place to do the thing. So I don't think it was handled very well, because I think the gym should have been quiet about what was going on, but it weren't. But I was reassuring my clients that if anything happened, we were just going to go up the road 500 meters to the next gym, even though I hadn't sorted out a deal with them technically, but I was determined that that was what was going to happen, even though it was all very up in the air and we didn't really know. At the last minute, literally, I think the day before or something weird like that, like within the last week of the gym shutting and not existing anymore, somebody came in, had negotiated buying it. So everything got to stay the same. So all these people had actually left. Trainers had left. Trainers had closed their business and left. I think I was the only one left standing out of 12 or 13 people. They'd gone. And then someone else came in and bought us. So it was perfect. Starting to stretch, excuse me. I also am not used to sitting down because I can't. Okay, so from there as well, because I've always done seminars as well, what I realised, accidentally again, is it gets you very busy very quickly, because it puts your services in demand. So it makes it very easy to then hire another contractor if you want to keep delivering sessions, because then you teach the people to deliver the sessions the way you do. Now, I get my rocks off on that. You don't have to do it that way, but I like it because I like them teaching the trainer as well. Teach the trainer to teach the clients the way you teach them, or not, doesn't really matter. So I have these little mini Kates in little satellites around the place. Okay, so I moved to Nunawading, had multiple different contractors in that gym doing sessions for me. Launched the larger side of group training. When I say larger, I mean a timetable with 30 classes on it, literally due to demand. And largely due to demand because of the way I was using seminars. I used a mix of seminars and bootcamp charity days. And also I started making videos then as well, but I only made videos really for my own clients. I really just made content for my own clients. That's actually the way to start. I just got sick of hearing the same thing on a Wednesday or Thursday that I'd heard 100 times on a Monday already. There's multiple people running through group training sessions, like 6 at a time, and 30 of those on the timetable at capacity, which did take a year or two to get to. And getting sick of the same thing, not sick of it, but so I'd make a piece of content so I didn't have to repeat myself. That's all. Just make a piece of content, send it to them, didn't have to repeat myself. And eventually on YouTube, that content was unlocked. So I used to train trainers as well. This is outside of that. So outside of that, having a contract or two in there at the time, I would then go outside the gym, meet at a coffee shop and sit and train a group of trainers once a week for 12 weeks on how they could grow their business, on things that they needed to do with their current skill set. So whether they should run groups, whether they could have a high-end something, what they should charge, how do they up their prices, how do they ethically do this, how do they sell, like so many different things over that 12 weeks. That was amazing. So I've got a little note here for myself, continue training trainers who had their own businesses. So we made a local cafe and we do 12 weeks of that. And I was still doing corporate health. You know how? Oh, I skipped something. I forgot to tell you that Damien and I, oh no, I did tell you, I fired myself. Let me go back a couple of years, my partner and I, Damien at the time, and I started a corporate health business, but I fired myself from that because it was just not fun working with him at all. It wasn't fun at all. So anyway, we stayed together. It was fine. A couple of years later, we did split up. I think Stella was 3 and it was fine. It was a mutual decision. So it's good. Doesn't mean that it wasn't hard, because it was definitely hard. But it also, what it made me do was step up the business in terms of I really had to figure out how to do all of these things that I like doing with less hours, because nobody could be home with Stella. Nobody. Now I talk about the story of my mum being around. Mum was in Queensland. Oh no, mum had moved down here, but mum wasn't near me to babysit at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I was buying myself, and it was good, and it was very resilient building, you could say. It made me really figure out what it is to do this stuff and how to do it. And you figure it out because you have to figure it out, because there's no other way to do it. And I wanted to do it. Okay. So I was doing corporate health as well. And the easiest way to do that was through my own clients and getting in the door with my own clients. Did start using social media at around 2011, 2012, really just create content for my current clients. That specific location ran group training capacity over 130 sessions a week for multiple years in a row. And that's meaning most people did 2 or 3 sessions a week. Small group strength training, 6 people a session. And the most actually had a wait list. And most of the time I'm writing here, I'm reading my writing. Most of the time there are 31 classes on the timetable, and also each coach, myself and at least one other coach, did 10 one-on-one sessions at a time. And also by that period, I've helped hundreds of trainers by speaking about it online as well. Fast forward 7 years into a relationship of seeing a man that lived in Geelong, I decided to move to Torquay. That was not an easy decision to take my child out of school. Now, in doing that, something else that I did was I had the two businesses going by then, right? I want to rewind a little bit. I had approved as well, and the proof of these loans is actually on my website, I think, on the About page, from the personal training income before I launched myself as a coach, business coach for personal trainers properly. But from that income, I had 4 home loans approved by banks, and that means over those years of being a single mum and running it as a proper business, I had a lot of tax returns that went in that looked good enough to support myself and a child, etc., and to be able to repay a mortgage. So that's I guess the credibility point of I know what I'm doing in terms of running that kind of structure and how you can increase your business in less amount of time, because it means so much in terms of being able to do things in the least amount of time. It's really important, I think, to get the needle to move and be productive, especially when you're a parent. I've only got one child too, by the way. Now, I ended up moving to Torquay, and when I was there, just before I moved, I thought, okay, I have to switch online, and I'm going to have to go online for at least a month and get my mum is going to move down with me. My daughter is going to move down. I need a month for everybody to settle in. And it was the first time I'd done a huge move like this with my child, and taking her out of school is devastating for her. She's great now. She loves her friends. She wouldn't move. She's in year 9 now. She's 14. So I ran some Facebook ads. Well, not just run some Facebook ads. I learned how to do that. I ran a webinar ads. I got really heavy into the digital marketing stuff. This was 2017. I spent quite a year doing a lot of that. That really, really launched the business coaching side of things in terms of, running ads gets your name out there. And then I bought a house not far from between Torquay and Geelong in what's called Armstrong Creek. And I was there for 12 months. Now, the whole last 5 years, my partner and I had been looking for a house to move in together with, but it had not been perfect enough or big enough, or he liked this and I didn't like that, or I liked that and he didn't like that. So we talked about everything from building, buying land and all that. So that's what our weekends used to be. Then we found this house. So agreed, and then moved in here. And we're still here today. And this is 18 months later. And then that brings you up to date. But what I want you to know is you'll be okay when you move. You really will. And just know that there are plenty of people out there that are willing to become friends, associates, clients, any of that stuff with you. I've always gone from the tact of, I love humans. I prefer to make friends. I just do things to make friends, literally. And then accidentally, I'm inspired to help clients. Now, I'm about to get on a call with a client from the UK. So she didn't find me from any of my moves. She actually found me through my website, I think. So any of it's possible. But the most important thing that I will say for you, and I guess your relationship with yourself and your business, which is, they're not different things, is to look after yourself and help yourself to be in a good mood. If you've got any questions about any of this, I'll leave all the relevant links below. Have a great day. And I hope that actually clears up, well, not clears up, but lets you know a little bit about my background and why I talked so heavily about moving and networking and creating relationships as being foundational for you as a coach and personal training, studio, gym owner, or any of that stuff to get to multiple 6 figures, because it's totally easy and simple to do. Actually, it's not easy because people don't do it, but it is simple. But because people don't do it, networking, it makes it easy to grow your business. And it would be my absolute pleasure to answer any questions. So comment below this video or this audio or this blog post, wherever you're seeing